Welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you being here. If it's your first time, please do me the favor of clicking like and subscribing to the channel. I hope you get something out of this content. You can surf around YouTube and the internet and find lots of people giving you information on how you can become wealthier. Some of them claim to be millionaires. Some of them actually are millionaires. Some certainly aren't. And you can take it or leave it depending on what they have to say. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't know you. I don't know your circumstance. I don't know the specifics, but I will tell you what I did because not that long ago, I didn't know how to handle money either. Like most people, I'd been working for decades. I'd been diligent. I met my bills and paid on time and did everything I was supposed to do, but I was still broke. At the end of the pay cycle, I didn't have any money left to speak of. And it finally occurred to me, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's not capitalism. Maybe it's not my boss or the employer. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. What I did as a first step when I realized I was the weak link in this chain, I bought a Dave Ramsey book. I believe I bought The Complete Money Makeover. It's an easy read. It's a pretty good sized book, but it's an easy read. And it really boils down to 7 baby steps. That's what they call it, 7 baby steps, 7 simple things. And we've talked about this in the past. They're simple, they're not easy. But these 7 simple steps, if you do them, you will end up wealthier, maybe a lot wealthier. But it worked for me as it's worked for so many others. And you can't knock success. I will also tell you completely upfront, I don't follow all 7 of Dave Ramsey's steps. I just don't feel it's necessary for me and my personal situation. And I'm very happy with the outcome. One of the reasons I like Dave, though, and one of the reasons I take what he has to say very, very seriously, is he openly acknowledges he screwed up. He lost everything. He did it wrong, thinking he was doing it right. And he got past the hubris of that, the arrogance of I'm the smartest guy in the world, I'm a millionaire, I'm rolling in it, and then it's all gone. He realized he had to rethink how he was doing things. And he did. And it worked. The first baby step, putting away an emergency fund, that changed my whole life. I never really thought about it. I'd pay all my bills. My check account balance was pretty darn close to zero. My savings account was pretty close to zero because I didn't have any money to put in there. I just didn't get it. And then he comes up with the idea, just have $1,000 in an emergency fund. And no, $1,000 is not enough for a real emergency fund, but we'll get to that. The second step that also made a huge difference in my life, learn how to pay off your debts using a thing called the debt snowball. Dave explains it beautifully. It really did work for me. It made all the difference in the world. And suddenly, with those debts paid off, I did have money to put into the savings account. I did have money to invest with, and everything got better incrementally. I kind of got to this stage where with every paycheck, there was a little less debt, there was a little more savings. That made all the difference in my life. Now, with my debt paid off, I could do what Dave suggested for the next baby step. I could start putting away a real emergency fund. 3 to 6 months living expenses. And if you're tracking how much you're spending, and you can do it any way you want, a scrap of paper and a pen worked fine. Once you save 3 to 6 months living expenses, all of a sudden your stress level goes down because if the refrigerator dies, you can afford to get another one without putting it on a card at 27%. You have a flat tire. If your car gets in an accident and you have to pay the deductible, all of a sudden, that's not the catastrophic event it would have been had you not followed these steps. At least that was my experience. And then I went a little above and beyond. Dave recommends you put 15% of household income into an investment and keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. Now, investing is completely different than savings. This is money that you could lose depending on how risky the investment is. So you have to be somewhat knowledgeable and careful about what you invest in. But there are lots of options, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But what really changed it for me was I did that 15%. And it made a huge difference. All of a sudden, my 401k is growing. And when the next raise cycle came around, and I got a raise because I did do my job well, I bumped up to 16% in my 401k. In the next raise cycle, I got another raise and I put 2 more percent. Eventually, I got up to where I was putting 20% of my pay into a 401k. That started to grow that investment pretty dramatically. And that's when I departed from Dave's teachings. I had a good situation. I had built up a good nest egg. I had money set aside and I started to invest in real estate. Notice I said invest in real estate. I'm not buying vacation homes for myself. I'm buying rental homes where I can let other people live for a reasonable rent in a good quality home that's well taken care of. It's a business. I basically invested in my own side business, buying and managing real estate. And that's worked really well for me. I'm a happy guy. It's taken 10, 12 years, but I went from having absolutely nothing, just barely getting by, living in a 1,400 square foot house that really could use some upgrades, to now I live in a house more than twice that big with a yard 3, 4 times that big and owning half a dozen homes. You really can become wealthier, and there really is a roadmap for you. As a matter of fact, there are hundreds of roadmaps for you. Just try and avoid the things that are get rich quick. In my experience, those really don't work all that often. Getting rich slow, getting wealthier incrementally, a little bit at a time, really does work. And as that little nest egg builds up, your stress level goes down, your happiness level goes up, and your future gets a whole lot brighter. I hope this has been helpful to you. We'll be back with more specific stuff each week right here on the Better is Always Better channel, because better is always better. So just keep working on it, keep thinking about it, and consider how you might take little steps to really put yourself in a better financial position. You don't have to be earning 6 figures to do this. You can be on minimum wage, and that's enough to get started. I'll see you next time, right back here.